Made of long crystal copper, Astral Acoustics Mars is a cable made for EMs or in-ear monitors priced at $650. This is a high-end cable for EMs. The copper construction is made of long crystal copper and it is a pure copper cable. At the jack we have a 4.4 balanced connector, although you can order this with single-ended 3.5 or other connectors if you need to. Also, at the EM side, I went with a 2-pin connector, although you can order it with any popular connector right now. Astral Acoustics is basically a boutique company. They make those cables for EMs. They have some of the best sounding cables in the world. They are quite known for this. When it comes to EMs, the cable can make quite a bit of a difference. For transparency, I decided to share with you a very simple but effective way of checking what changes a cable adds or takes away to the sound of a pair of EMs. So what I would typically do when testing a cable like the Mars, I would start with using the EMs with their own cable for about an hour or so that I can really get used to the signature and the tuning of the original EMs. After an hour, I would unplug one of the ears, then I would plug in the cable. I would then switch the new EM, which has the Mars cable, and plug it into the source, then I would continue to switch the other EM too. I would typically start with the left ear, although starting with either ear is okay. This allows you to quickly switch between cables and get a pretty good idea of what each cable does to the sound. And if you've been listening for a really long period of time and if you are using the same playlist, the differences will be quite obvious. For example, Mars is a cable which tends to tighten up the impact of the bass. It creates a tight but very punchy impact. It creates a lot of strength in the sound. Mars also tends to project the sound a bit wider laterally, also it increases the perceived depth. It does give music a bit of extra soundstage, it makes music more holographic, and it also tends to make music a bit more detailed. You basically hear more detail and the dynamic handling is improved a bit, so when a song is really busy, you will hear more information from that song. Mars is a pretty flexible cable, but it is nowhere near as flexible as some of the lower mass cables that we've reviewed, so it is a bit waxy in design. As you can see, when I'm moving it, it doesn't really feel lightweight, but it feels flexible. This is pretty nice because it tends to dampen the microphonic and handling noise quite well. The part that goes around your ear, the ear hook, is rubbery. It is not a solid hook, which is nice because usually a rubbery part will create a better contact with your ear. This also helps dampen and cancel the microphonic noise. You basically don't really hear any kind of microphonics while handling the cable, and by nature it doesn't really conduct much microphonics. When ordering from Astral Acoustics, you can customize the length, the connectors, and I think it would be a good idea to consider if you need a longer length, because for me this cable looks okay. If I was using it on the street, it would be okay, but if I'm sitting at the computer, it is a bit short, because typically I'm typing at my keyboard and my DAC amp is typically somewhere beyond the keyboard, so closer to the monitor, which means that the cable can sit quite stretched between the source and the EMs in my ear. I would typically require a slightly longer cable, but some people don't want a longer one because they listen to music on the go, and on the street you really don't need a much longer cable. Actually, this length is quite ideal. What I typically do when I do have a longer cable and I'm out and about, not really with EMs but with headphones, I would take the cable, I would put the headphones on my head and I use it like a scarf around my neck to kinda do something with the extra length. Then I allow the cable to go to my pocket and to my source. I keep saying DAP, but I've used the DAC amp for this test, actually a stack of DAC amps and an amp. And here on my desk I have the iBasso D16, the main source that I've used with the Mars. I would typically also employ iBasso PB5, although it is a bit excessive to use a DAC amp, a separate amplifier, a high-end cable, but you know, a big point of using this kind of cable is using it with flagships. Don't purchase a high-end cable costing $650 if your EMs are costing $400. And I did test it with both flagship EMs, but also with more entry-level options. For example, I have tested the Mars with SimGot EM10, which is an affordable pair of EMs at $440. It is not necessarily a flagship, but the combination works very well. It has a beautiful sound, a highly improved bass, especially sub-bass extension and impact. You get a better overall clarity, you get that expanded soundstage, and you do get a better control when the music is really crowded and busy. For example, in metal, in emo music, in technical death metal. anything with a lot of dynamic compression just sounds better when it is played through this cable, to the Astral Acoustics Mars, than with the original cable of the EMs, in this situation for SIMGOT EM10. When it comes to recommending a cable, it's a bit hard to justify the cost. For example, if you have a pair of EMs which cost $1,000, paying $650 for the cable alone can seem a bit excessive. But on the other hand, if you have a pair of EMs which cost you around $2,000, then a cable costing $650 seems a bit more reasonable. And when you decide to upgrade the cable, you have to take into account that although it does change the sound and it has quite a bit of impact, it doesn't really create a new signature. It just refines the signature you had already. So SIMGOT EM10 is still a very analytical EM. It doesn't turn the SIMGOT EM10 from an analytical earphone to a very bass earphone. It just improves the bass it already had, it refines it, and it creates a better overall resolution, but it is the same EM. So if you like your EMs already, you can explore the world of cables. If you don't like your EMs already, it is a good idea to keep exploring the EM world, to find one that you like, and then to get a cable both for the improved ergonomics and for the improved sound. At the end of the day, I think that Astral Acoustics Mars is an excellent purchase. I mean, absolutely excellent if you want a tighter and punchier sub bass, if you want an expanded soundstage, especially in the lateral plane, but also in the Z depth plane. It is a good upgrade if you like a better ergonomic. It is more ergonomic than most default cables. I like the fact that it is thick. I like the construction quality. It's flexible and it looks pretty good. But if you can justify purchasing a luxury item, there are more affordable options, including from Astral Acoustics. So this one is made for those who can afford and who want to afford it, who want to purchase a pretty good flagship upgrade. I hope that you are enjoying your time at Audiophile Heaven. Don't forget to check out the written review if you are curious for more input, and to watch other videos if you are having fun. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye!